The intent of this segment is twofold. First, Anand and I frequently run into this problem, which is we're visiting a customer that's been our customer for a long time. For example, Microsoft. It's been a customer for 20 years. So we go to visit Microsoft, and when we're talking about something, they look at us and say, geez, we didn't know you did that. So this happens quite frequently, and we said, well, why don't we just repeat anyway, not go through the entire thing, but talk a little bit about the various diverse things that we do. And if it's repetition, I apologize. But that's one intent. The second intent is about 3.5 years ago when I had joined Persistent, Anand was gracious to take me around and have me meet with all the customers. And at that time, we had almost 200 customers, so we visited a lot of customers. And it also turns out at that time, that was the 2008 timeframe, 2008 timeframe when the economy was not doing that well. Not that it's doing great now, but it wasn't doing well at all at that time. And instead of talking about transactions and sales and business, we were just asking the CIO or the CEO or the CTO or the VP of engineering, what are the sort of things we should be investing in? And we heard, we listened, and we got certain inputs, and we went out and invested in those things. We want to talk about some of those things we invested in, and that's paid off quite handsomely for us. And our intent is to give some examples, some updates about the strategy that we undertook based on those inputs and feedback. And as we play that today, we'd like to, again, request you to give us feedback. We want to keep listening. We want to hear. We want to be a customer-led company. We want to be a market-led company. So the intent here of kind of broad brushing the strategy is for us to later listen for inputs from you. Very quick. So Persistent Systems. Yeah, we're a product development company. We're a product development services company. But we're a little bit more than that, and it's very subtle. We're a software product and technology services company. That's important. We're not an IT services company. We develop products. We not only develop products, we do several things around the product, the entire life cycle around the product. We develop, we maintain, we sometimes take over the product when it gets to end of life and invest in the roadmap to elongate the life of the product. And these days, for the last 1.5 years or so, we co-sell with the customer. We do reselling, we do integration, we do a lot of things that goes with that product. In other words, 360-degree with the customer. But everything to do with technology, okay? So we're a software product and technology services company. We've been around in business for 22 years, about 300 plus customers, 3,000 plus product releases, 10 of top 20 technology companies. And I'm proud to say that about 50 of our customers are all multi-billion-dollar customers. And we're about 6,600 people. We're very global, and we're expanding more and more. Business is growing, thanks to you folks. And I'll talk a little bit about our various geographic locations. Several awards in the cloud computing, the mobility and the collaboration area, and also in the analytics area. Our global footprint, just a very quick picture there. We've got our development centers in India, but in the last year, we have added a few more development centers. We have a development center in France, in Grenoble. We have a development center in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We took over a product from a large customer of ours, and along with that, we acquired a rather large team in Malaysia. And you'll be seeing us doing more and more of this. Our global footprint is expanding, and we're in the US, we're all over North America, including Canada, and our 300 customers include the world's largest technology companies as our customer, and we're particularly proud of this heritage of working with leading-edge startup companies as well as large companies, because it gives us diverse experience, it gives us the flexibility and and it enables us to work with very leading-edge technologies. Finally, a lot of innovative enterprises that are our customers. And I'm going to talk later a little bit about what we do with these enterprises. But again, we don't do IT services. We do a lot of technology, software, product work with these enterprises. Our strategy is focused on creating building blocks of next generation technology products around cloud, collaboration, mobility, and analytics. 3.5 years back, when we came and talked to you folks, that's the input we got. That's where we invested. That's where we have developed a lot of competence, frameworks, accelerators, and so on and so forth. That helps us help you. That helps us build a product quicker, build services quicker, and accelerate the time to market for you, which is time to revenue. I want to talk a little bit about our business strategy in general. We call it the 4x4x4 business strategy. There are essentially 4 verticals that we focus on today. Obviously, this will evolve and it'll expand. But today, we focus on banking and finance, infrastructure and systems being networking, storage, software type of companies, life sciences, and telecom. Now, those are the verticals that we work with. There are 4 technology areas, and we call these horizontal areas. Call it practice, call it competence. And those are the mobility, collaboration, analytics, and cloud computing. And there are 4 business models that we actively engage in. And this is something some of you may find as interesting and actually new information. No, we're not just a time and material services company. We do many, many more things than that. We do technology consulting. In other words, we sit and solve problems before it gets to a point where it's a software. And this is a growing practice, and later Venki, R. Venkateshwaran, Venki will, towards the conclusion of my presentation, stand up and talk for a couple of minutes about this capability that we have invested in, and Venki has personally built this in the company, and it's a very fast-growing practice. The third, or the second, we do a lot of sell-with, which is we partner with software companies to help them enhance their top line. Not a plain reseller, not a plain systems integrator, but partnering with other software companies and building certain bridges, building certain enhancements to that product, and take it to market, all right? And we also do joint co-selling with them. We do that with Salesforce.com, we do that with Oracle, we do that with IBM, we do that with a number of software companies. And that business model is going to substantially grow quite a bit inside Persistent. And why? That's because we want to provide additional value to our customer. If you have a knowledge of the product, why not take the knowledge of the product and help our customer enhance their top line? When you're an engineering partner, you're helping in the technology and the cost side of the equation. But as you take a level up, we can co-sell, we can partner to enhance the top line of our customer. IP-led business. So this is an interesting model. From a pure services company, we have evolved in the last few years, and now we're doing a lot of it, which is taking IP and leading a practice, an engagement with that IP. Why? Because with IP, we're able to put together a much bigger and a much more comprehensive solution, higher value, and the customer likes that much better as opposed to just a plain services model sometimes. And sometimes we build our own IP. We invest. As a services company, we still invest and build certain accelerators and frameworks and connectors, adapters, what have you. And usually the way we go to market with this IP is through our partners, is through our customers. So our business model is not to become a product company. That would essentially lead to our competing with our customers. So that's not our intent. Our intent of keeping an IP-led business model is to enhance the value that we provide to our customer, is to bring about a complete solution, a comprehensive solution. because IP is a key piece many times of that. And product engineering, which is the outsourced product development, the traditional services model, that's the bread and butter of the company, and we continue to do that. To give you some numbers, about 8–9% of our revenue is IP-led component today, and we expect that to substantially grow. I'll give you some more updates on the sort of things we do with the IP-led business. So that's our 4x4x4 business strategy, and the reason we call it 4x4x4 is you can take any permutation and combination. We may go into the life sciences segment, do some analytics work, but lead in with an IP. We may work with a banking and finance customer, where we just do services, which is that model. And we may be just migrating an application to a cloud, in cloud computing. So this is the way we have laid out our strategy, leveraging our technology competence, our horizontal competence, putting a business model to work, and taking what we have invested in certain verticals. We're growing, thank you all. We're about a $207 million revenue company. That was our last fiscal year revenue. Our stated intent is to become a $500 million corporation in the next 3 years or so. Our intent is to grow and grow exponentially through these value-added models. Our team strength, we're about 6,600 people and growing. Interesting, if you look at 2011 to 2012, our revenue grew almost by 20% plus, whereas our staff didn't even grow by 10%. What that tells you is the business model is changing. This is not just a pure services company. It's about high-end technology solutions. It's services plus high-end technology solutions plus IP-led services, which is obviously not correlated with labor. So in the last year or so, we've done 3 acquisitions, IP acquisitions. Let me highlight a little bit on that. We acquired a software product plus a team in France from Agilent Technologies in the life sciences area. We acquired the middleware location-based services product from a company called OpenWave Systems, and that middleware is primarily deployed in the operator's network, such as AT&T, Verizon, Vodafone, et cetera, Sprint, et cetera, to point the location of a mobile device. And the third one that we acquired was the NetCool Performance Manager, which is essentially a performance management product that's used in networks to proactively look at data that comes out of various network elements that sit out in the network and manage the performance of that. So you can upgrade the network performance and keep the availability and the reliability of the network high. And with all these, we acquired the teams, we acquired the IP, and what we're doing, and this is not just to take a product, maintain, and get maintenance revenue off it. That's not the intent. The strategic intent is to get that and enhance our solution capabilities, invest in the roadmap, take it to a point where we can have much broader set of offerings. And we'll be doing many more of these during this year and the coming years. You'll hear from us many more on this. We'll keep you updated. So the Persistent Advantage is a product development DNA, fundamentally a technology and an innovation company, and a company that understands the importance of partnering and the ecosystem, and Amrita mentioned about that. Anand does that, and I do it certainly. My team does that all the time, which is we try to maintain an inventory of things that are happening out there with our various customers, and we try to see how we can broker marriages, how we can take a product A from this company and a product B from this company, get them to come together, build a bridge, and enhance an offering out there that'll help both A and B, and of course persistent. So the whole concept of bringing the ecosystem together, we try to do that a lot, and that's a value differentiator of a mid-sized company like Persistent Systems. Now, let me talk about some of the things we invested in, and I'll give you some examples. And maybe during the course of the day, you can think a little bit about this and give us some feedback. And if not during the course of the day, would like to hear more and more about what should be our direction of investment doing double clicks on these areas. Now, I don't need to talk about cloud computing to you guys because we actually do some products for you guys in this area. That's not the intent. But we invested in cloud computing. Yeah, it is a disruptive force. But let me tell you a couple of interesting examples of things that we did and how this has changed our view of how we need to work in this area. No, it's not all about taking an application and putting on the cloud. Yeah, that's there. And no, it's not all about just building a platform that's a cloud platform where we can do provisioning, configuration, et cetera, et cetera. That's technology. But let's really talk about the business model here. What has cloud computing done to the business model here? So let's take that middleware product, that location product. Okay, roughly goes, depending on the capacity, for $2 million a year license fee. Okay, that's not a bad revenue, right? $2 million per year license per customer. About last year, there's a company that came along, a competing company, and they came up with a model to put this on the cloud and multi-tenant services, and took the price down from $2 million per year license to, guess what? Anybody wants to take a guess? $2 million a year to 200,000. Factor of 10. What does that do to product companies? Where you suddenly see a depreciation of 90% revenue, annual revenue, because of a change in business model. Now, when that happens, what happens to the mechanics of the product development? Now, I'm a dinosaur. I started off my career developing products. And don't want to disclose my age here, but you'll know it very quickly when I tell you about the product. It was the first digital switch in Bell Labs. And the first release of that, and subsequent releases, it took 3 years to put a release out. 3 years. But there were thousands of developers. It was a complicated product. That's the one that enabled you to make a phone call. But today, a phone call is a commodity, but those days, that was a big thing. Today, and John was alluding to it, some companies have 3 releases a month. I don't want to name those companies, let alone 3 a year. Not 1 release in 3 years. Now, with cloud computing, that changes dramatically. There is a customer of ours last year, a company, a software company that puts out a supply chain product. Supply chain for discrete item manufacturing, okay? They asked us to build that product on their cloud. Guess how long it took for us to build that product? Anybody wants to take a guess? An entire supply chain product for discrete mid-sized manufacturing. 4 months. 4 months, 5 developers. And the entire engagement was $100,000. 5 years back, that would have costed maybe $3 million, and maybe it would have taken a couple of years to do that. This was done directly in the cloud, on a Force.com cloud, and 4 months, done. Why? That's because the entire mechanics of software development that we see has changed quite a bit. People are okay to put out a beta version out there, let the users use it, get feedback, and develop the releases as they go along. And when you develop in the cloud, there are resources already available. You don't have to do things from scratch. So a reduced license fee going to a reduced cost of development and accelerated cost of development, we are building a lot of frameworks and accelerators so we can adapt ourselves to that environment. Because if you have to build a whole product in 4 months, you better have a completely different practice. It's not just about putting a lot of people to work. How do you fundamentally get something done in 4 months that used to take 2 years to do? Well, the entire practice has to change, right? You have to have pre-built models that are customized to that cloud. So you know exactly what questions to ask. You have a technology consultant coming and asking you. There's a methodology where that 20 questions are asked that gets automated to a certain process, and the development itself is very, very mechanical. I think John alluded to this as well. Because of the way the cloud computing is headed, the decision making we're seeing is shifting a lot to the businesses. So let's say a marketing organization and an insurance company wanted an application done. They had to go to the IT organization, get buy-in from an IT organization. It had to be compliant to the infrastructure that was there, and it would take them probably 6 to 12 months before they got anywhere. Today, you know what they do? They don't talk to the IT organization. They directly go work with a cloud guy, an application guy, and in 2 months, they have it up and running because it's not even running in their premise. It's not their infrastructure. And it's a subscription model, so it's not a big investment anyway. So that's what cloud is doing to companies like us. And we'd like to hear more your opinion and your feedback about where you see this is headed so we can adapt ourselves even better. Second, I think, John, you mentioned about this consumerization of IT. So, of course, mobile is here to stay, and you talked at least a dozen times about that, John. So we worked with a customer where we did a mobile application for contact management, you know, your contacts. And a simple app where you take a picture of the business card and you know, it does the parsing and the optical recognition and all that stuff, and directly puts that out in the database and updates the database. Looks like a simple application, right? Now, just think about the implication of that in an enterprise. Now, this is a free app, and it's probably a phone that the company didn't buy for me. It's a phone that I have, and it's an app that I got for free. But I'm using it inside my company. So these usually contacts go into a CRM database. So now that I updated my contacts, I mean, I'm going to Boston. I'll be meeting 5 customers. And within hours, I'll have it all updated because I'm sitting out there waiting for the boarding of the flight, and I just take my business cards out, take a picture, and boom, 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 it's all up there in the database. Good for me, but not good for the enterprise. Why? Because it's going to stop in my database. It's not going to go into the CRM. It's not going to go into any enterprise contact database. So the consumerization, which is bringing these devices, bringing these apps into the enterprise, is going to cause a lot of change in the back-end system, as John indicated. And we're seeing customers coming to us asking for us to do work and design back-end systems in a way so things can be seamlessly integrated. And would like to hear your opinion about this as well. Of course, there is big money in mobile. Of course, there's a plethora of devices that people are bringing into enterprises. But it's by and large a BYOD, right? Bring your own device. Anand is going to talk a lot about it, so I'll just touch upon this. But is the app that important? Or is it the data that comes with the app that's important? A lot of people just give away apps these days to monetize the data that comes out of it. And we're doing a lot of work around that. And recently we worked with a telecom carrier or a product company that sells an analytics product to a telecom carrier. The app itself is not the value, but the data that comes out of the network that helps the carrier plan their networks and proactively configure the network is what is more important and not the app. Finally, an example on collaboration. Recently, we engaged in some work with a very large law firm in US. We implemented an application whereby these lawyers that are geographically dispersed could collaborate and share information and data, and we implemented that on a collaboration platform. And we saw that the value of that application was so tremendous because a lawyer fighting a case in Los Angeles could in no time get real-time data on a lawyer having a similar case in Ohio, and what they spent on the application, which I don't even want to tell you how much it is because it's a minuscule amount. Within a matter of weeks, it paid for itself for the customer. Some examples of things that we've been doing in the area that we invest, and would like to hear feedback from you as we, again, I request that so we can refine our investments and double click on these. What I'm going to do now is ask my colleague to come in and speak for a couple of minutes on the technology consulting side, because that's a key piece of our business model now. But these are areas where we've invested, and we really appreciate the directions that you gave us a few years ago, which we religiously implemented, and we'd like to do more of it, and would really appreciate more of those feedback. Thank you very much.